And so I made a web page. I don't have a foundation, anything like that. I'm not trying to make money like that. I'm just trying to share it from a conservative, very conservative perspective. You can go to the next one. And the website's Mallory's Hope. And I feel honored to be here. I appreciate your time.
That's just awesome, Dr. Meehan. Thank you so much. And I'm going to give the floor over to Jason David and let him tell it for himself.
When I talk about this, I got to stand up because I get emotional. Sorry. Plus, I've been sitting down for too long. The reason why I got everyone to come here is because I get thousands and thousands of questions all the time. I mean, I get messages all over every Facebook I have and all this other stuff. My girlfriend argues, hey, you know what? You need to do something to help everyone out at once. You frequently ask questions or do something because, you know what, we still need to live a life too. And I don't blame you. Thank you for everything and supporting me and helping me. It's not easy. It's not easy. Well, that's the reason why I was here today. I'll read some of this, but mostly it has to come from the heart. The real reason why I wanted everyone to come out here was so they could learn different things. We see a lot of stuff on TV, and everything is very, very edited for TV. TV is very easily edited. It puts out there, you do this, like I've seen my own image on websites saying this guy gave his kid medical marijuana one time and his kid's never had a seizure before. He cured his son. That's not anywhere close. I wish it was. If it was, oh my gosh, I'd be going crazy right now. I'd be on every website going crazy. But what it is it's the treatment, and it's what you put into your child. You know, the doctors told me that Jaden would never walk and never talk. Jaden's a mental retard. Love him for who he is. Those are word for word things they told me. But it's what, with my faith and God and having hope, we can't lose hope. Another reason why I wanted to come out here and bring everyone out here was because we lose hope. I have people contact me from all over the world saying they're going to commit suicide, they want to do divorce, they want to, I mean, I've heard the scariest things. I mean, I've even had people tell me I want to kill my whole family. And that's scary when you have to talk to people on the phone like that. And it happens. So that's why I wanted to come out and tell people and try to bring this out bigger and understand it more. You know, it's a process. It wasn't easy weaning my son down from 22 pills a day. You know, my son was born at 4 months old. He started having seizures. For us, it was the immunization shots. Everyone else is different, I understand, but for us, it killed his immune system. He got metal intoxication, and that's the first thing we need to recover. It's a hard process. After that, I started having seizure after seizure after seizure. Every time I went back to the doctor, he just giving us different med. And after he kept on giving us different meds, I started doing more research. I went to the Dravet Syndrome Foundation website. I started following them. I believed in them. I thought they wanted to help children out. I started going to these meetings. Every time I went to the meeting, this is way before medical marijuana came out publicly. First meeting I went to, I was sitting there with every other person in there and just listening to whatever the doctors said. They were saying, try this medication, pump your kid with, there's a new shot coming out in your brain, cut out half your kid's brain, give your kid drugs from other countries, orphan drugs. And the people that were promoting them, there's a reason why they're promoting them, and we forget that. They're selling something. They're selling you, I remember being sold on a product. I was a salesman. I used to be at a jewelry store for 11 years, a manager here in town. And I remember selling people stuff. Whenever they told us, hey, you know what, if you sell this company's diamond more, we'll give you more money. Well, that's the same thing they're doing to us. They tricked all these, that's what I felt like as a father and as a patient. I went to this meeting, they're saying, try the Magic 3, try sтерapentol, clobazam, and Depakote, your kid's gonna be amazing. Magic. Well, the magic was he survived those drugs. He was dying, and that was after the first meeting I went to. I was going all over the country, I was reading, I never slept. I mean, it causes family issues. There's a lot of problems it causes. You know, you lose your friends. I have friends with other kids that have autism or epilepsy, and their brothers or sisters contact me, and they're like, help me get my brother back. Help me get my sister back. I go, what's wrong? They're like, well, we don't talk anymore. I go, that's what happens when you have a kid with epilepsy or autism or have a problem, because the other people don't understand you. You lose your friends. People forget about you. Your whole life is based on your child saving their life every single day. So, I mean, It's a very, very tough road. So everyone's asking about CBD, you try it and it works. And Mara said it really good, is about figuring out what works for you. The ratios, the percentages, and she does a really good job of adjusting what works for you. You know, like Martin Lee said, there was Charlotte's Web that's out there that's working amazing for a lot of children. Well, we tried it, and it made seizures worse because it wasn't Jaden. It didn't work for Jaden, so we tried something else. During the process, you have to trial and error. Everyone is different, and I feel like everyone has a different endocannabinoid deficiency. I think that's what's really important, finding what endocannabinoids your body needs by trial and error. And what I recommend people to do, I'm trying to break this down in layman terms. I wanted to bring the scientists and all the intelligence, all the scientific stuff out here with these guys, but breaking down as a parent, I think that we can't be scared. You know, this plant's been here for 5,000 years. We've strayed away from Mother Nature. I mean, God says in the Bible, it says, and I don't know, everyone's different. I'm not trying to preach what I'm preaching or anything, but it says it out there. It says we put these plants and herbs and everything on earth for a reason. You know, 50 years ago, we weren't taking pills like we used to. We weren't do brain surgeries like we used to. I mean, this is just huge right now. And I had a question: who's getting better from pills? Is anyone getting better here from pills? I mean, because wherever I go, people are just getting sicker. We're supposed to be the smartest country in the world, and we're the sixth country in the world right now, and it doesn't ever stop. And I just want to say, I'm not anti-vaccine. I think that you just do your research, and everyone needs to make their right decision of what they want to do. I think the most important thing is in coming here is telling people to do your own research. Don't believe everything we hear. You know, the other day, one of my relatives called me and she said, I just got a shot, and I'm not feeling well. I said, why did you take it? Because they said it on the news. I said, if they said on the news, everyone needs to go jump off this bridge and you'll never have a flu again, or you can go jump off of it. She said, if they said so, maybe. You have to really research what you're doing. And what I want to talk about CBD was, it's not just any CBD. You need to find, like she was saying, you have to find out the milligrams and the dosaging. And sometimes there is a 20-to-1 that works. Jaden was doing amazing with 20-to-1 for a long time, but when Jaden was going through withdrawals from the medications, because Jaden was at 22 pills when I first started CBD. 20-to-1 was fantastic. I took him off Steripental. It was easy. 15 days after I took him off, he became normal again. He stopped screaming. Thank God. I didn't have to change anything that time. When I went to Taupomax, I started having to use something with a lower ratio, like a 10-to-1, a 6-to-1, 4-to-1. I had to play with it because Jaden was suffering through the withdrawals from the medications. So you have to adjust and you have to read your body, and we forget to do that. We're going to an office and we're asking this guy, this is what I feel like. Okay, then just take this and see you later. We don't read ourselves anymore. The best MD for your child and for yourself is mom and dad or yourself. Because we don't do that anymore. Whatever this guy told you, he read from a book, and sorry, no offense, you know how it goes. Reading your body is very important, and using this medication. And it's harder for us as parents doing it with our children because my son can't communicate, so I'm just trialing and erroring. But what I know about cannabis is that like he was saying earlier, what's going to happen? He's going to fall asleep, or he's going to have a seizure. He already has seizures. At least it'll knock him out, and he won't. And you know, Mara was talking about how some people can handle 0.24 THC or different stuff. Well, everyone is different. She's right. Some kids can't. But during withdrawals, their tolerance level might go up because it helps out the receptors with the pain. Because when you're weaning off the medications, and if you want to wean off, I'm not recommending anyone to wean off because it's scary and it's not easy. You know, even my doctor at UCSF, he's an amazing doctor, but he's just guessing. When I'm asking him, I'm like, how do I wean off this medication? He goes, I could put you on the medication. I have no idea how to wean you off. So what he'd say is, he's all, well, some patients I do this, well, exactly, everyone's different. So what I started doing was, I started contacting people that were on the medication, adults. I was going to epilepsy meetings, asking them, how did you get off this medication, and what did you do? They were telling me other different natural things they were using, like valerian root, or anything they could do to help calm their receptors because they're going through the withdrawals. So I started doing my homework like that and figured out, what do you feel like when you go through withdrawals? Tell me how you feel, because my son can't tell me how he's feeling when he's having withdrawals. So the guy's all on Topamax. Well, when I'm taking Topamax, I have a sensation of everything tastes like metal in my mouth whenever I eat. So that's why my son's not eating. They told me my son's never going to eat because he has a low muscle tone in his mouth because of Dravet syndrome. And the funny thing is, I kept on telling my doctor, I was like, you know what? The funny thing is, every time I say anything, you blame it on Dravet syndrome. The side effects from every medication is exactly what Dravet syndrome is. He's like, well, you got a good point. I go, has anyone ever been studied? We used to talk about all these studies. Has anyone ever been studied without the medications? He said, no. I said, then we don't know what Dravet syndrome really is. But we're basing that bias on whatever, and it's all the pharmaceuticals causing the problems. Because when I took Jaden off Topamax, it took me 6 months to take him off 10 pills. And every time I take him off, he'd go through like 2 weeks of just suffering. And I remember my mom and my ex-wife and my mother-in-law, you're gonna kill him, you don't know what you're doing, you're not a doctor. And this is way before this came out on news or anything like that. I was like, no, I really believe, I've done my research. I went and asked patients. I took him off a pill, 2 weeks later, boom, he bounced back, and he's like, his eyes are coming back to me, you know? And then I take him off another pill, boom, 2 weeks later, he'd go through suffering for 2 weeks and come back. And I'd give him different ratios to help him get through it. So then after 10 pills, Jaden started chewing. Jaden started running. I was like, whoa. I was like, remember the doctor? I remember telling his mom, I was like, remember the doctor said he's never gonna walk and he's never gonna chew? We're about to give him a feeding tube. I remember we're about to put in a feeding tube. We're thinking about doing a VNS, putting in a machine that shocks his brain before he has a seizure. And next thing you know, I took him off. I started taking him off Depakote. Well, Depakote's no joke. And you know, people are looking. I see everyone looking at TV, and they see that CBD is working for someone. It's like, oh, it's going to work a miracle. No, you're going to have to go through the process of getting your child back. You're not just recovering from epilepsy. You're recovering from addiction and poisoning. That's what's really happening. So it's a long process coming back. I mean, it's taken me 3 years. I've taken my son off 20 pills. The last 2 might take me another 2 years because it's such a strong medication. So I weaned my son off Depakote, and during that time, he was going crazy. So I had to switch to a 1-to-1 ratio. And the only thing that saved Jaden's life, if it wasn't for the 1-to-1 ratio, I don't think I could have survived. There's no way a 20-to-1 CBD only would have ever worked for me. I would have been, thank God we're in California because we have a big option. If we didn't have that option of the whole plant, this plant is not half good and half evil. It's absolutely not, and that's what's been put out there. And I think that people need to know this. Plant works synergistic. You have to find what works for you. So you have to trial and error. Even when a doctor gives you a medication, he's like, here, take 2 pills. And for your weight, take 2 pills. I'm a lightweight. I'm bigger than him. And he'll say, here, take 2 pills. And he'll tell me, take 3, because I'm bigger. If I take one of those pills of his size, I could still get messed up because it's my tolerance. Everyone's different. So it's the same thing with cannabis. You just start at a low level and you wean up. And like she said, you start off with the better CBD level and start going like with a 20-to-1 or rate. And what I mean by 21, I mean by ratio. I mean by 20 units to 1 unit of THC. Or you can go 10 units, and it goes by milligrams. So let's say she's saying, like someone's saying 100 milligrams of CBD, and I have 10 milligrams of THC. So it's a 10-to-1 ratio. You guys understand that? I'm kind of breaking it down more like a parent using the medicine and stuff like that, so I'm trying to figure out. After Depakote, Jaden had never comprehended one word. After Depakote, he started comprehending. It's not perfect. Jaden still has seizures here and there, but seizures, instead of having 500 myclonics a day, like just sitting there twitching, headbutting everything, I couldn't get him out the house. I mean, it's depressing, you know, every birthday, or your friends calling you, say, come to this birthday party, and I'm like, I can't, because my son's gonna have a seizure there. I can't do anything with him, you know? They're like, you're not the same guy you used to be. I'm like, no, I'm not the same guy I used to be. How am I supposed to be the same guy I'm used to be? So it does wear on you, you know? And the best thing I could tell everyone is you have to trial and error. Don't be scared. In 5,000 years, no one's died from this plant. You know, 250,000 people die a year from pharmaceuticals, and no one says a word. You know, the funny thing is I see the same story over and over and over again. Especially, I mean, after I've been on news and TV and stuff, I get adults that contact me and says, well, this is the same story. I have arthritis, I have diabetes, I have blood pressure, and I'm about to go blind from my diabetes. I said, what medications are you on? Well, same story, everyone. I started off with blood pressure medications, then it went to cholesterol medications, then it went to this medication, then it went to this, and it's the same story with everyone, but no one sees it. That's what's scaring me. No one's seeing it, the trickle effect. And every time I go to my parents' friend's house, I go to the house, and I see any parent, my mom and dad's friends, had bags filled with medications, just like we do as for our kids when we were having, I tried 14 different medications for my son. Nothing worked. 500 myclonics a day, that's when I started like going crazy. I was like, look, I'm giving him 22 pills a day. He's 5 years old. We've gotten absolutely nowhere. And every time I've listened to the doctor, my son's gotten worse. And since I've been using cannabis, you know, I've got a lot of people contact me, ask me questions. And since I've done so much with it for 3 years, what's really been working for us is like parents will call me. I had a mother call me recently, and she goes, my daughter was doing amazing on the CBD, but this week she's doing horrible. I said, what'd you do different? And she goes to me, she goes, well, she has a UTI, urinary tract infection. We went to the doctors. They gave her antibiotics. I said, take your child off antibiotics in 2 days, you'll get your daughter back. She goes, and I go, and while you're doing that, her daughter's older. Her daughter's 16 years old. So I said, I think you should give her the 50-to-1 ratio of Rick Simpson oil, 50 times THC to 1, but give her half a rice grain, half a gram of rice grain. She took it. She put it on Facebook. And this lady's a very Christian crystal case. She's a very conservative Christian. She's an amazing woman. She puts it on Facebook, blasting it. Thank God for THC. There's no way possible my daughter could, and she had 7 seizures that day. Once she gave it to her, seizures totally stopped, 100%. 2 days after she got off the antibiotic, she called me. She goes, Jason, exactly what you said worked. She goes, you won't believe what else I did. I called my doctor. And I said, Doc, wasn't my daughter on this antibiotic last year? She goes, yeah. She goes, what day was she put on the antibiotic? You never told me. And I didn't know my daughter was allergic to it because she's going crazy. She couldn't stop seizing for 2 days straight. She goes, well, it was June 7th of last year. June 7th, she was admitted into Stanford University in ICU. Her daughter didn't stop seizing for 3 months. They couldn't figure out it was the antibiotic. They said, no, it's okay, just take it together. And that's what they've done to us 100 times. And it's scare tactics. Every time I go to the doctor, I'm like, Jane's a little sick, give him antibiotics, give him antibiotics. I'm like, no, last time this is what happened. And they try to scare, they could see who they're gonna scare. They're trying to see I felt like a weak. They're sort of telling the mom, you're gonna let your husband, or your ex-husband not give your son a medication, and he's gonna get sicker. He needs it. And I know some people do need antibiotics sometimes, and I know it works for some people, but it's that little thing that you could trigger your seizures. I have another parent that's using cannabis, and their kid's been doing amazing. I see her put a picture of Diet Pepsi and Pepsi, and her kid's about to have Pepsi and Diet Pepsi with her kid. For a kid with epilepsy, a severe epilepsy, you're not supposed to give him Pepsi. I think you guys, I mean, do you give your kid Pepsi? Have you ever? I've given sips because I didn't know about it. But after I seen it put Diet Pepsi on, and a couple of days later, my kid's having seizures again. We can't figure out what's going on. Well, it's a lot more than just CBD. It's putting the pieces together. Like, you know, have you seen a picture for autism? The awareness thing is a piece of a puzzle. Well, that's what we have to do for ourselves with everything, putting the pieces of the puzzle together. So I have a few slides. Sorry, I went off for a little bit. I get a little deep into it sometimes. Hopefully, if the video works. That's me and Jaden, one of the greatest days ever at Marine World Epilepsy Walk a couple years ago. They thought I was crazy then. They thought I was child abusing Jaden at that time, giving him cannabis. Then afterwards, the same people at the next epilepsy awareness couldn't stop asking me questions. They came with papers. Hey, these are questions I have for you. You can fill it out. But the year before, they thought I was crazy. Go ahead. This is Jaden before CBD. Overdosing on prescription drugs, 22 pills a day, 500 myclonics. In 1 month, I had given him 40 shots of Diastat. I remember 40 shots of, you guys know what Diastat is? It's a rectal Valium. I gave him 40 shots in 30 days. I remember trying to get the prescription refilled after 40 shots. And I remember going to trying to pick it up. They said, we're out of it here. And they said, we're having a problem with your insurance. Something's going on. So I called my insurance. I go, what's going on? Well, we suspect you're selling it. I said, you think I'm selling rectal Valium in the streets? I said, yeah. I said, I'm going up to the gangsters down the street and saying, hey, you want a shot in your butt? This will really mess you up. I've even been attacked almost at a Walgreens here on McHenry for my son's medications. That's how serious this issue is of pharmaceuticals, I think, locally. I was driving today with my girlfriend's son, and I seen him, 2 kids, 13, 14 years old. I swear to God, this is the honest truth. They're walking across the street, and I overhear them talking about Adderall, Oxycontin, methadone, 13, 14 years old. My girlfriend's son's overhearing them. I'm all, see, that's what happens to you when you do that. You can see their little, just tore up, you're already on drugs, 13, 14, and they're talking about it while they're walking across the street. What's the 13 or 14-year-old talking about these medications for? We've really forgotten what's really going on. You know, I'm not anti-pharmaceutical, but I think that people need to do more research about that too. There is stuff that works for some things, but just do your research. I think that's the most important thing, especially whenever you do research 3 things. The medication name and side effects. The medication name and withdrawals. The medication name and lawsuits. Then you'll find out what you're really giving your child. And I have one father, that, you know, I was at a Gervais meeting, and he's like, I can't believe you get your son high. I said, I can't believe you give your kid crack. He goes, what do you mean by that? I go, you're using that word high as a scare tactic. I'm actually naturally medicating my son. Because who made the word high? Why are you high? Actually, it should be called low, because you're low, right? Why is it high? What's really happening is it's stimulating your mind, you know, and it works different for everyone. But what really happens is, I think the word high is a bad word. I think it's just used for scare tactics. It's really naturally medicating. You know who really gets high? All our parents on Vicodin, methadone, Oxycontin. That's high. That's a chemical high. What's different than that compared to cocaine and heroin with a lame brand with a couple other chemicals, and boom, there you go. You know, I was reading something the other day. It said the street value of a kilo of cocaine was $20,000. The street value of Oxycontin is $1 million. Of the same amount. That's scary. Sorry about to get off the subject. Get off. So this is Jaden before. This is 1 month after CBD. Things were great. We got to go to the park. We started having fun. It wasn't perfect, but Jaden was getting better. This is before I started weaning him off medications. So Jaden was having an amazing, amazing month. Plus, it was his birthday around the corner. I don't want to mess anything up. I had to enjoy one birthday. Thank God my dad was here to see that one. So it was an amazing first birthday without a seizure. And he was in the water for 2 hours. Before I put Jaden in the bathtub, Jaden's had 300 gram malls in the bathtub. He used to look at the water and have a seizure. You see the reflection, or he'd get too excited, or once he had that sudden temperature change, it would cause a seizure. Now he's swimming. He's like, I mean, it was 106 degrees the other day. I videotaped something and put it on Facebook. I was like, I mean, that was just amazing. It's things that you wouldn't imagine. And like I said, it's not perfect as seizure control. This is what a seizure control is at right now. I would say he has 1 to 3 a week that are about 5 to 10 seconds long, compared to 500 grand mals a day and 500 myclonics a day and 3 grand mals a day. Also, I really attribute that to the benzo withdrawal. I think it's benzo withdrawal syndrome. There's a syndrome called, do you know there's a benzo withdrawal syndrome? Yeah. But the benzo withdrawal syndrome. There's a syndrome called benzo withdrawal syndrome. I can't believe that. On top of the Gervais syndrome and epilepsy, we even got benzo withdrawal syndrome we're going through now too. So that's the withdrawals from the prescriptions. That's Jaden. You can't hit play on these. They were supposed to be videos, but that's Jaden pretty much having a seizure there. Next one. That was really, really bad day for me. That was one of the days I got kicked out of the Gervais Syndrome Foundation support group because I see my son suffering. I took a video of him and said, look, I said, we're killing our children with these pharmaceuticals. As you can see, that was probably one of the worst days of our lives, on top of every other seizure day, of course. But that was I think the withdrawals are worse than the seizures, I think personally, for us. And that's the hardest part, coming back from the withdrawals, coming back. You really want to know what's happening to your child through the withdrawal, is get a hold of addicts. I find high school buddies that were ex-addicts, and I'm asking them, how did you feel? What do you have to do? I was telling Dr. Minahan earlier, I have a friend that went to high school with, and he's like, yeah, he goes, he was addicted to Oxycontin. He went to rehab, he's paid $10,000 to get the IV detox. Afterwards, he was still going through withdrawals for about 4 months, even after the IV detox. So during that 4-month withdrawal, they gave him benzodiazepines. So they're like, okay, he's off Oxycontin. So now he's addicted to benzodiazepines. So now he's like, the doctor said, I got you off Oxycontin like I told you. I never told you I was gonna get you off benzos. So the guy had to wean himself off. And I asked him, how did you do it? He goes, at night, he goes, I would take a pill at night. He goes, and right when I woke up, I had to take another pill because I wake up with shivers, yeah, or what's happening is REM's going off and you can't wake up to reality. This guy's a big 35-year-old grown man that's like a huge, like, they look like a football player. He's waking up, he goes, I'm crying to my mom. He goes, I'm begging her, Mom, please call 911. I think I'm gonna die today. So what he started doing was taking the pill at night and cutting it up and making it a line. So when he woke up in the morning, he could snort the line. And that's what we give our children right now for epilepsy as a rescue med, pretty much. Midazolam, it's a squirt in the nose. Go straight to the brain, pretty much giving them a line of what the medication was. Sorry, I get deep into the benzos. Go ahead, next one. That's Jaden after 22 pills swimming. Like I told you, we could never enjoy the water. And now these are days that are it was a video, but the video's not working on this. But this is how days are. Next one. This is Ryan, one of my buddies. 7 months he was stuck like this. We couldn't find CBD at the time. His mom was desperate. She said, let's try anything. So she tried a high THC. Next slide. First time he smiled in 7 months, 1 hour after I gave it to him. 1 hour. First time he smiled in 7 months. And the reason why is he was stuck in a catatonic stage from the medications. And when I sat there, I asked Dr. Gervais, I've met Dr. Gervais, and I said, Dr. Gervais, I said, you don't see something wrong with all these kids? She goes, yeah, they have Dravet syndrome. I said, no. I said, I think they have drug syndrome. She goes, no, this is what Dravet is. I said, if you believe that, that's sad because you're pitching that to the parents, saying this is what you're going to have. Every time I have a new parent that contacts me that says, hey, you know what, I just went to the website, I read this is how my life's going to be. I said, no, it's whatever you put into your child right now will change the rest of your life. It does take time, and there is trial and error. It's not perfect. You know, I keep on seeing, you know, these stories that you just see parts of stories where it just shows, hey, this is perfect, that's how it goes. There's a lot more to it than that. Next one. You can follow us at Jason and Jaden's Journey. I'm sure you guys already do. That's why you guys came here. Thank you very